You could be swallowed alive and stay conscious long enough to feel everything. That sounds impossible, but it almost happened. And the truth behind it is far stranger than you think. In 2014, a man did something most people wouldn't even imagine. He walked into the Amazon wearing a protective suit, covered in pig's blood, and offered himself to an anaconda. Not to escape, not to fight, but to be eaten. And here's the disturbing part. The snake actually tried. For nearly an hour, the anaconda worked its jaws around his head, slowly attempting to swallow him whole. No rush, no panic, just pure instinct. But it failed. The human body was too large, too awkward, too risky. But that raises a question. What if it didn't fail? What if everything went exactly as nature intended? Because anacondas aren't just big snakes. They are engineered for one thing: consuming prey far larger than their own heads. Animals that should be impossible to eat somehow disappear inside them. So how does that work? How does something without chewing, without slicing, without venom, take down and consume something as complex as a human? And more importantly, would you even realize what's happening before it's too late? Because the scariest part isn't being eaten. It's how slow, how methodical, and how strangely silent the entire process really is. And what happens next changes everything. You're walking through the Amazon. It's quiet, too quiet. Then you see it, coiled, massive, watching, a green anaconda, up to 9 meters long, weighing over 200 kilograms, built like pure muscle. No warning sounds, no dramatic attack, just stillness, waiting. But here's the strange part. You're probably not its ideal target. Anacondas usually go for prey around 18 kilograms. Something manageable, efficient, safe. You're heavier, taller, harder to handle. So why would it even try? Because sometimes instinct overrides logic. And if it decides your food, things escalate fast. No roar, no chase scene, just a sudden explosion of movement. Before you can react, it's already around you. And this is where it gets terrifying. Anacondas don't crush bones the way people think. They don't squeeze until you snap. They squeeze until you can't breathe. Each time you exhale, it tightens. Not enough to break you instantly, just enough to make sure you never inhale again. Within minutes, your body shuts down. Silent, efficient, inevitable. But let's push this further. Let's say somehow you survive that part. Because what happens next is far more disturbing. The moment you stop struggling is the moment the real process begins. And it doesn't involve teeth or tearing, just patience and something far worse. It starts with the mouth. No ripping, no chewing, just stretching. Anacondas can unhinge their jaws, expanding far beyond what seems physically possible. Skin stretches, ligaments bend, everything adapts slowly. And then it begins. Your head disappears first. But here's the weird part. You're not being bitten apart. You're being pulled in. Teeth curve backward, gripping just enough to prevent escape. Every tiny movement you make pushes you deeper. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. The inside of its mouth is drenched in thick saliva. Not just moisture, lubrication. Designed to make you slide effortlessly. Then comes the slow descent. Muscles contract in waves. This process is called peristalsis. It doesn't rush. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going. Your shoulders, your chest, your legs. Everything slowly disappears into darkness. But that's not even the craziest part. The snake's ribs move independently. They flex inward, tightening around you, adjusting, compressing, guiding you down. You're not just swallowed. You're processed. And then, just when you think it's over, you reach the stomach. And this is where things take a turn no one expects. Because being swallowed is only the beginning. What happens inside is something far worse. Inside the stomach, there's no air, no light, no escape, just acid, and not ordinary acid. Anaconda stomach acid is powerful enough to dissolve bone, not weaken it, not damage it, completely break it down. But here's the part that changes everything. It doesn't happen instantly. It's slow, painfully slow. Within hours, your skin begins to break down, not burning like fire, but dissolving, softening, losing structure. Within days, even something as tough as alligator hide can disappear. So what happens to you? Your body begins to lose definition. Muscles break apart. Organs collapse. Everything that makes you starts to fade. But this is where it gets even stranger. The snake doesn't just digest you. It transforms around you. Its metabolism spikes. Organs enlarge. Its entire body shifts into overdrive just to handle the meal. For weeks, sometimes months, it does nothing but digest. And during that time, it's vulnerable, slow, exposed, at risk from predators, which leads to a shocking twist. Eating something your size might actually be a mistake. So why risk it at all? Why attempt something so dangerous? Because in nature, opportunity sometimes overrides survival. And that's when things go wrong. But what happens after digestion is something most people never think about. And it's the final piece of this nightmare. Eventually, there's nothing left. No shape, no structure, no identity. Everything that could be used has been absorbed. Proteins, fats, nutrients, all of it repurposed, except a few things. Hair, nails, fragments that even acid can't fully break down. And then, weeks later, what remains leaves the body, unrecognizable. But here's the question that lingers. Was it ever likely to happen in the first place? The truth is, not really. Humans are too large, too complex, too risky. Anacondas don't hunt us. They avoid us. Most attacks happen out of defense, not hunger. So the real danger isn't being eaten. It's misunderstanding what these animals are. They're not monsters. They're survivors, perfectly adapted to their world, not ours. And if you ever cross paths with one, the outcome is decided in seconds, not minutes, not hours, seconds. Because once it commits, there's no negotiation, no second chance, only instinct. And that leaves you with one final question. If something like this exists in the wild, silent, patient, perfectly designed, what else is out there, watching and waiting for the right moment?